Hello and welcome to my video presentation. Today I'm going to be discussing on how I implemented my prototype into productive production quality. I'm going to be demonstrating on the user story on how everything is being implemented in production quality software. So first of all, I will show you the the ER diagram, which is the SQL or table. My preferred software that I use to develop my project is Visual Studio. At the left hand side, this is the table. I identified four tables: appointment, doctor, medical record, and patient. So if you come to my portfolio, this is a doctor, appointment, patient, and medical record. So going back to my project, I will first of all go to the user story. Sorry, the user story to further guide on how the um, software works. So the first user story or the first user is the doctor. The doctor wants to register into the system. The acceptance test is register into the system. Negative test case is could not register into the system. So by let's start by playing the video and playing the software. So yeah, the first um, menu that the user is going to get is that is the registration form. The doctor wants to register into the system. So first, let's enter any name, any address, and then any email. So the doctor first of all fill in the details, and then put in a username, last name. So after all the details of the doctor has been filled out, they can click register, and then a pop-up menu says registration successful. Click OK, and it leads the user, which is the doctor, to the second menu, which is the login page. So the first user story is the doctor wants to register into the system. A certain test is registered into the system, which has been successfully registered. The second user story is the doctor wants to log into the system. After registering to the system, doctor wants to now log into the system to access the doctor page. So imagine if the doctor put in the wrong username and password and try to complete this. It says invalid username and password, which indicated the username and password wasn't recognized. So if I come here I also build a table in SQL for the registration form, store the data. So if I come here, so as you can see, the name, which is this that I just entered to register the doctor, has been provided in the SQL table. So if I click any of this, let's say I click the doctor username, come here, and then I take the password and I enter it here, and then I click here, it now says login successful. So it gives registration allows the user to have a specific username and password to be able to log into the system. The doctor now have access to the menu. That's the positive acceptance test. Log into the menu. Negative acceptance test, it could not log into the system. So the third user story for the doctor is the doctor wants to enter patient's ID to access details and give prescription. This is the positive acceptance test, and this is the negative acceptance test. So if I come here, so there's a menu that says enter patient ID. Let's say I enter a random name and ID. Click here, and it takes the doctor to the patient menu where the doctor can enter different names and gender, blood, major diseases, and everything about the patient. You can also click here to view the history or test result, or click here to give prescription. The last and final user story for the first user, which is the doctor, is the doctor wants to check the test result. So after logging into the patient, the doctor can now click here to access the patient's medical details or test results. I just put random test which I found on Google, which is also if it's not copyright and it's free. So I just put them here. So yeah, this is the final and last user story for the doctor. The negative acceptance test is could not check test results. So that's the first user story and demonstration for um, the doctor. The second user story is the receptionist. The same with the doctor, the receptionist wants to log into the system. So coming back to um, the application, if I rerun it, let's say the receptionist will enter a random name, just enter any random thing. But for the user, let's just give specific username and password. So after registering, it says registration successful. So coming back to the database, if I reload it, as you can see, this is the registration form. So I click this, right? And I click this, the login successful. So yeah, then the receptionist can navigate to the home page, which they can now enter the page, any details from the patient. So yeah, so the receptionist want to register, which are successfully done. The receptionist want to log into the hospital management system, which they have successfully done. The next one is the receptionist want to register patient. So this is the registration form for the patient. So let's say I give random stuff. I enter random details for the patient, and then I click add. Register record enter successful, and it will also show in the table to indicate that the patient had successfully been registered into the system. So here, so the third user story for the reception is receptionists want to register patients. Acceptance test is registering new patients to the hospital management system successfully. So it has been successfully registered. So this is it. And then if you go to the patient's database and then you show data, this is this is um, the data or the details for the patient that I just randomly entered. So it shows that the patient has been registered successfully into the system. The last user story for the reception is the receptionist want to book appointment. So after registering the patient, there's also a button that the receptionist can click and can book appointment for patient by putting the appointment ID, the purpose of the appointment, the dates, the time, the status, and then the patient name or ID or anything, and can click book appointment. So for my L, I and for the agreement for the patient, I also indicated that if the patient agrees for his personal details to be collected, when you click this, there's a terms and conditions right here, and then you agree to the terms and condition. If you click yes, that you agree because information because there's no data already. But if they say no, you don't agree, and then it doesn't save the patient's uh, information. So that's the final, which is the patient. The patient want to book an appointment in a system. The positive test case is successfully book an appointment in a system. So going back to my program, clicking this. So since the patient can't register into the system, you can just navigate to the login button, and then there's an option that says book appointment. So click when the patient clicks here, the button is free for anyone to book an appointment. So they can enter the date of the appointment, time of the appointment, status of the appointment, purpose, and so on. And they can click this button here after entering it. So there is a legal agreement that indicates whether the patient um, want his information or her information stored in the system. So if click yes, it says you agree, and then here I'm missing information because I've not put any data. So this is just the agreement. So the second user story is the patient want to edit their personal information. So I indicated by putting an edit button, an update button right here. Once the information is being entered and stored in the system, the patient can now edit. Let's say can now click here and then they can successfully edit their personal information. The last user story for the patient is the patient want to check their medical or their medical record or history. Successfully check their medical history. So once I have access to the booking appointment, there's a section that says view medical history. So once they click here, they can now access their medical history through this place. So that's the third and final user story for the patient. The next user story is the nurse. So I'll just close this now, and then I'll reopen this. So first user story is nurse want to register into the system. Just like other users of the system who are specifically the main users of the software or the system, the nurse can successfully register. Say I put a random and then I put same random phone number. So I put random figures and then click here. So registration successful. So the nurse can now go back to the registration form. So yeah, so this is it. So let's say I take one of the username, paste it here, and then I take the password, and then I click the nurse icon here to log in successful. So now the nurse can now log into the system, and the first page that they will come across is the home page. So the next user story is the nurse wants to log into the system, which I just indicated by putting in the right credentials to be able to log into the system. The next one is the nurse wants to view patient medical record. So there's an option right here where the nurse can click and view the patient medical record. The next user story is the nurse want to register patient symptoms to the hospital. So there's a button that says that when the nurse clicks here, then they can successfully register the patient's symptoms and medical problems into the system. So the next user story is the technician. The technician wants to register into the system. So let's just log off. And then put random register to register successfully. So I'll come back to my database for the registration. Or you can just click here and you can see, yeah, there it is. So the technician enters the right credentials to be able to log into the system. So after everything is being entered, so click the technician and it says login successfully. That's just one user story for the technician. So, and then the other one user story is want to log into the system. So that's the second user story. After registering, you can now log into the system. The third user story for the technician wants to be able to access the patient's information. So there's an option that says so the technician can access both the patient's care information and can see say I enter random stuff here, enter the name, number, and give them any gender, give them any blood type, and then write any major diseases, and then click add. Record successfully entered. Boom. So this is it. So the doctor also can do the same thing, and then the clinician can have access to information that the doctor has entered, or the clinician can also enter the patient information right here. So the last user story for the clinician is the clinician wants to create an account for the doctor. So going back to the home page, the clinician can click the doctor and can enter, let's say, give the doctor a different ID give the doctor a name, any name, check if it met the experience that the doctor has, give them the gender, and then give them different a specific medical license. Add this and then say record entered successfully, and there it is right here. You can also view it in the database table, which is here. There you go. So this is the database table. So the account has been created for the doctor. So the last one is the system administrator. The system administrator wants to register into the system and want to be able to delete